All right, well, thank you all officially again for joining us today for our Grad Rebel Advantage workshop, which is today is a very special one. This is the last Grad Rebel Advantage workshop of the semester, and we get to hear from our current graduate student leaders in the Grad Rebel Ambassadors program who are going to share about their experiences, particularly around practicing resilience and thriving in grad school. We know grad school is a challenging place once you get there. It's hard to get in, of course, but once you're there, you're facing a whole different set of challenges to navigate. So I hope you get a lot out of this conversation. And again, students on the call, we welcome your questions throughout, although we do have some prepared questions to get us started. So I'm just going to share our ambassadors' names to start, but I'm going to ask each of you to give a little bit more robust introduction in a moment. So we have Jessica Placencia Flores, we have Eddie Flores Estrada, Ashley Godfrey, Salome Ogbuleka, and Charlene Gonzalez here with us today. Thank you so much, because like we all know, grad school is also very busy, so it takes a lot for you to carve this time from your day, and we do appreciate that. So I'd love for you to each share a little bit more about yourselves, your degree program, um, maybe just kind of some ways that you are involved on campus to start, and then we'll get into our questions from there. So Jessica, would you kick us off, please?
Of course. Thank you. So, hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Placencia Flores. I am currently in the doctorate in public policy here at UNLV. Very excited to be in this program. I completed my master's in urban leadership through UNLV as well. So, love to come back and pursue an even higher degree. Uh, I'm currently part of the Grad Academy program, which has been a really cool experience, just meeting my fellow grad students, but also working with like Alyssa and Shantae, making more connections throughout the campus. I do work full time at Nevada State University through our student life office, so I get to do the cool things that I'm doing through this program. Like I create panels, I work with our student leaders, and now getting to be on the opposite end and actually experience that as a grad student has really brought a lot of fulfillment to me. And I always wanted to do it, but during undergrad and even the first time in grad school, I kind of had to work full time to afford grad school. So being having the privilege to experience these experiences now have been great. Um, and I don't remember what the last question, but I said a lot, so I'm sorry.
That's fantastic.
Okay,
Would you
perfect.
popcorn up to one of our other ambassadors?
Yes, I will do Eddie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eddie Flores Estrada. I am a fourth year public affairs PhD candidate, luckily. Um, a little bit about myself. So currently, I actually serve as a graduate research assistant for the College of Hospitality. I've actually been working with them for the last 2 years. I also actually serve as a research consultant for the School of Social Work. So I'm actually helping them develop a new research lab as well as working on a new research grant together. I've honestly kind of popcorned, I would say, all around the campus. I'm also a Grad Rebel Ambassador. I'm also participating in the Graduate Mentoring Skills Certification Program. It's great professional development opportunities. I've also had the opportunity to also work with the Department of Communication Studies. So I worked with the Public Communication Initiative, sorry, as well, conducted research, and I actually just had a paper published with that team. So I've kind of popcorned again around all campus, but I'm excited to be here and happy to answer your questions.
Thank you so much, Eddie. So I'll pass it to Charlene to say hi real quick.
Hey everyone, so I'm Charlene. I'm a second year master's student in higher education administration. So I'm wrapping up my master's program pretty much in the fall. So I have a little bit more semesters to go. My first year of grad school, I joined the graduate mentorship certification program, which is a very good, helpful program. Just like Eddie said, it gives you an opportunity to learn more about what it's like being a mentor and all that. I work part-time as a graduate assistant in the Lee Business School Career and Professional Development as a career coach. I am also a mentor for the Grad Rebel Advantage program. So I was a mentee just like you all. And I gotta say, being a mentee for the Grad Rebel Advantage program has really helped me apply and be prepared for graduate school. So you guys are such a pretty lucky group to be here. And we're so excited to hear any questions from you guys. And when I was an undergrad, I was very heavily involved on campus too. So if you had the chance to be involved, meet new people, find your friends, network, elevate your resume, definitely do it because that's one of the most fulfilling things that you can do as a college student and also helps you for post-graduation life. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much, Charlene. And Ashley, I'll pass it to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley. I'm a second year PhD student in College of Hospitality. And some of the ways I am involved, besides being a Grad Rebel Ambassador, I also serve on the Dean's Council for the College of Hospitality. And I just attend a lot of events on campus and involved with undergrad students mostly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. But as you can see, these students are coming from a variety of different experiences and degree program areas and backgrounds. So please do get your questions ready for them, but we'll go ahead and dive in. And students, we already have a question. So we already have a question, excuse me, from students. So anyone on the call who feels comfortable jumping in on this first one, what are some organizations or groups in graduate school that you'd like to mention or are available to students? And that's the question. So whoever feels inclined to jump in, I think I saw Ashley nodding.
I've just seen some of the groups on campus by attending the involvement fairs on campus, which gives you a huge variety of groups to choose from all throughout the university. One of the clubs that I'm in is the snow club for skiing and snowboarding. So that's been really fun. But that's open to all students. For grad students specifically, I would suggest getting involved with the Grad Academy, like the ones hosting this workshop, and probably just attending a lot of the workshops that are offered for grad students.
Thank you. Anyone else have recommendations for organizations or groups that you've been involved with as a grad student?
Okay, quickly, my name is Salome Obuleka. I'm a second year PhD student with the School of Public Health. I also serve as a graduate research assistant in the VREU project. And I was a mentee, yes, in my first year in the graduate program. And I also served as a mentor at some point in the graduate program. I also serve as a council representative for my department in the GPSA. So I am open to, sharing with you all and, helping you all navigate graduate school and with my own experience though, how I've been able to navigate and all of that. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for troubleshooting. Okay, I'll pop it back to you, Jessica.
I'm glad she mentioned because I was going to mention GPSA. So your Graduate Student Association is not just a advocacy organization for all of you, but it's a great way to get involved. I've always kind of eyed it and thought that would be something really cool to be a part of. I advise the student government here, so seeing that on a graduate level is really cool. They advocate for you. They have resources, scholarships, and different programs that you can get involved in. So definitely do that. All the clubs, just like Ashley mentioned, whether it's through the involvement fair, but you can also look them up to see what you want to get involved in. There's graduate college, like graduate organizations too. Like there's one that I've been not fully integrated to, but I've been invited and had been attending a couple events, which it's just a really nice space for other graduate students to just get together. We go to a coffee shop and we do our homework together. So something so simple like that is like the coolest thing in the world because we're also all Spanish speakers, so we can talk in like my Spanish language, and we can just talk about our stressors or how's it going for school, but also how our families, how our kids are doing, and just how life is. So finding your space is really cool. And I think really important to kind of give you that, we're talking about resilience and thriving in grad school to get you through grad school. So find your space, club, your student government. The Grad Academy has been great. Like I said, I've made connections, I've made friends here that I don't think I would have ever met if I didn't take that leap of faith and just jump into it. So find your space on campus is really important.
Thank you so much. Eddie or Charlene, any other groups or organizations you might want to mention?
Yes, so I would just say to get in contact with career services. So maybe if any of you need assistance with maybe building a resume, using action words, just basically any support that you need, career services can help point you in the right direction. The other option that I would also recommend is definitely see if there are internship opportunities at the graduate level. That's actually something that I took advantage of when I was a master's student towards the end of my master's degree. Honestly, it was a phenomenal experience. I was paired with the City of Mesquite city manager, which is, if for those who don't know, that's kind of like a chief executive officer of a city government. So it's these are some great opportunities and resources that the university has at their disposal. So definitely try and get involved just this way again, so you can thrive and build resilience.
Thank you, Eddie. Charlene, anything else to add?
So there was a program that's called the UNLV Graduate Mentors led by Dr. Barry Burke. That was one of the programs that I joined during my first year when I got into grad school. It's also a really good program. I highly recommend it. And it's like being paired with someone who's already a graduate student, has already experienced what it's like to be a grad student. I'm gonna be honest, when I first got into grad school, I was super nervous. Like I didn't even know how to navigate it, but luckily I was paired with another person who was in one of my cohort last year, and she really helped me how to navigate grad school, how to find really good classes, what she recommends. And she told me like really good things about like being able to navigate grad school and having that perfect balance between self-care and just being able to learn how to manage your time. We eventually become good friends. We still keep in touch. We have our little coffee matcha dates once in a while, but UNLV Graduate Mentors, I highly recommend joining it, especially when you're looking into applying for grad school, but you're not super sure how to navigate it. We always have some really great mentors to help you out.
Thank you all. I think, again, highlights the different kind of experiences that you can have as a graduate student, if and when you decide to come and do your graduate studies at UNLV. So let's go ahead and dig into some of our big questions for you all. I'm going to start with you, Charlene, on this one as a former mentee, current mentor. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced when moving from undergraduate to graduate school, and how did you approach or try and handle those?
So after I graduated with my bachelor's, I didn't go straight to grad school. So I took a year gap, and taking a year gap, I thought it was like a quite of a disadvantage, but it turns out that it was a really good, helpful way for me to figure out what I want to do, what kind of career paths do I want to pursue. So I used to work as a teacher full time. I work with little kids. I did that during my gap year. And then 6 months later, I'll find out like maybe this is not the right for me because working with kids takes a lot of energy and a lot of it took a lot of your time and it wasn't aligned with what I want to do. And so looking back to my undergraduate, I had a lot of experiences working with students. I was highly involved on campus. I was part of First Gen Club. I was a research assistant. I was working with Jenna Heed with the Dean Student Advisory Council. I was like pretty much all over the place. Like I feel like I live here at UNLV, which is something I'm very proud of. And so I thought about like applying to higher education administration for grad school. And something that I really learned that it's important to expand your networking connection because that's what really helped me overcome those challenges transitioning from being an undergrad to graduate student because I'm that type of person who worries a lot about what if this happens? What if that happens? What if I'm not able to manage my time? What if I'm not able to condense all my reading? What if I'm not able to understand them? Being able to can be connected with someone who has already been in that shoes has really helped me ease those worries. So one of my graduate coordinator that who helped me connect with this professor, she's in California right now. She just got her PhD in higher education. We had a lot of really good conversations 3 weeks before I started grad school. She told me all about like Nakata. She told me all about being involved in research, being involved in these certain organizations that really helped me navigate grad school. And she also gave me a lot of reading advices because in grad school, you're going to do a lot of readings. That is my honest truth. And something that she really told me that was really helpful is being able to learn how to manage your time, For me, when I do my readings, I have an iPad with me and I have this little Apple Pencil that I download just all my readings, highlight, and I keep it there. And that was a very different approach was when I was in undergrad because when I was in college, I would just read from a physical textbook. But when I got into graduate school, that really changed a lot. And turned out it was a lot easier for me to navigate all my readings and classes that I need to like learn how to navigate it. So my biggest piece of advice is that when you're looking to a graduate school program, make sure that you're connecting with these faculties and program coordinators that can really help you. Because for me, they're the ones who helped me navigate and ease from being an undergraduate to graduate students. Because it's valid to feel nervous or feel scared, like being able to transition and being in grad school, it's not easy. But when you have these people, these communities with you, I promise you that you will be able to navigate your transition from being an undergrad to graduate students more smoothly.
Thank you so much for lots of little pockets of advice in there that could be so helpful for students. I would like to pose the same question for this question to everybody, and you can dig into some of our other questions. Don't feel worried about overlapping. I know we have a lot. But Ashley, what would you say? What were some challenges or strategies that you experienced or used when you transitioned from undergrad to grad school? Like, what was that time like for you?
I think mine was probably a little bit different because I had such a large gap of time between my programs. After I graduated with my bachelor's, I waited 4 years to go back for my master's. And then after I got my master's, 4 years to go back for my PhD. So lots of time gaps between those where I was working in the hospitality industry in like higher management positions. So I was getting a lot of good industry work experience, which if you're interested in teaching in higher education in the future, I would definitely recommend that if you're looking to go into a field teaching classes about a specific topic or industry. So my work experience really helped me with my graduate programs, especially for research now. So also if you're interested in research, my work industry experience has helped me with that, with better understanding like how the research can be applied to my specific industry. So those were kind of my experiences, which I think is a little bit different because of my gaps in education, my time gaps. But other than that, it's been very helpful to have that industry experience.
Thank you so much. It's an important factor to call out that, not everybody's thinking of right from the get-go. Eddie, what would you say? What was that experience like for you, undergrad to grad?
So for me, I actually had a gap as well. So I finished my undergrad at San Diego State in 2015, and then I didn't start my master's at UNLV until 2020. I didn't actually have a gap in between my master's and PhD. I just went straight into it. So I only had the summer off. But it's been a journey. But what I will say is that the most challenging thing that I found was writing, particularly grammar for me. I still would say that I'm not the best at writing and grammar, but it's an improvement, right? It's a process. So one thing I would say is just make sure to kind of freshen up on your grammar skills, your writing skills, just because at the graduate level, it is very writing intensive. You do a lot of research, you do a lot of reports. The other recommendation I would also have for you is just ask questions. So if something is unclear, that was something I was afraid of doing in my undergraduate program, was asking questions, getting involved to make sure I understood the assignments. And now at the graduate level, I'm the only person in the room sometimes asking questions, just because I want to make sure that I'm understanding correctly to, address the prompt or, just do the assignment correctly.
Thank you, Eddie. And Salome, what would you say about, the difference between undergrad and grad school? What was the transition like? How did you have to adapt?
Okay, for me, I think I had a little bit of different experience. I wasn't sure if the course I studied during my undergrad was what I wanted to continue with. So the course was great, but I wasn't really convinced that was what I wanted to do. And I didn't even know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to do something different. So after my undergrad, I served for 1 year, more like a program organized in my country. So during that period, I taught in secondary school, high school, and I was like, no, this is not for me. It's too stressful. But during that period also, I was involved in a lot of volunteering activities where we go to different high schools in the local government, more like county here, and teach adolescents about their health, about HIV and AIDS, how to take charge of their body and all of that. And then during that period, I was like, okay, I think I like something like this. And after the whole service here, I was like, okay, maybe I should go into public health. That would help me. I wasn't really sure, but I was like, okay, maybe this is tilting towards public health. And then during my master's program, I did the master's in public health. So, I mean, navigating from undergrad, not being sure if I wanted to continue with the course was the hard piece for me. But that volunteering experience, that volunteering that I did between when I was 7 actually helped me make the whole thing clearer. Not too clear, but I got a little bit of clarity about what I wanted to do at the time. So, and here we are. I'm still doing public health. After my master's program, I'm still doing public health for my PhD. After my master's, I also had a 1 year gap where I also volunteered again with another non-profit organization. All of those experiences culminated to what I am doing here today. So should I say, the advice would be, if you're not really sure, don't be shy when it comes to volunteering. Just do it. You never can tell. Maybe you will gain your clarity while doing all of that.
Thank you so much. I'm seeing a bit of a theme here. Just, if you're not quite sure which direction you're looking to go, and I've certainly been here as well, you can explore different opportunities through volunteering, through internships, through industry experiences, and, really gain different exposure through that. We need to hear from Jessica on this question, though. And I was like, I know your transition is also from different degrees. So yeah, what would you say about difference between undergrad and grad, how to navigate that?
I would say, so I like everybody had like their specific experiences. Mine was a very like difficult one. So I think I thought I was very sure. I completed my bachelor's, jumped into uh, the master's program in higher ed that I thought it just made sense. I was working in higher ed, let's do it. Um, but I did not realize how different grad school was going to be. Not to say it's a bad thing. I was just so used to the undergrad life where you have your quizzes, your discussions, you read your chapters, and then you come back and you have your lecture, and then it's kind of very consistent. There was a quiz every week, a chapter I read every week. And then one day I'm put into a space where we're all sitting in a conference room table staring at each other, and all we're doing is talking about the 3 chapters that we had read, the 6 articles that were assigned to us. And I was like, where am I? Um, it was a really cool experience, but one thing that started to settle in for me a couple classes in was this really intense like imposter syndrome that I started to feel. So um, I'm going to be very honest with all of you. I freaked out, so I ended up withdrawing from my classes. I was not doing poorly, I was doing fine, but this just overwhelming feeling of like, do I belong in these spaces with these other professionals that seem to know, like they were talking about their field of work, where they were at, and I felt like maybe I didn't belong in that space. So I freaked out, dropped my classes, didn't talk to anyone, and then stepped back. But looking at it back now, I should have talked to my faculty members. I should have talked to my resources. I should have not been afraid to think that I didn't belong in those spaces when indeed you do, and I do. Um, but it gave me some clarity to kind of step back and then realize, okay, what do I really want to do with like my career, what scared me, what like kind of deep dive into my personal like experiences and also just where I am. You know, when you're first gen, you're the first person to do this in college and undergrad, and now being the first person to explore grad school, it was also this hard like trying to explain to my parents like why I ended up dropping my classes. And my mom's so sweet because I remember her first response was like, "Was the teacher mean to you? Is that why you dropped it?" And I was like, "No, it was not, it was never that way. It was just something internal." But um, after I reflected, I came back and I realized what I actually wanted to do. I actually looked into a different program because I started to kind of think about what do I want to do in life. But I remember going back into those spaces and being like, I do belong here, and I will not let imposter syndrome get me again. And I do advocate for students if you ever feel that way, you're not alone. You might feel that way from time to time, but you belong in those spaces. You were accepted into that program for a reason. So it's not like they told you come on right in. You worked hard to get in there, but it was definitely a transition just because of the different capacities. But it's also so cool now having those discussions with your classmates, being in that like different field. It's very different than undergrad, but it's a really cool experience that I encourage all of you to do if that's something that will get advance you in your career or to get you to the career that you want.
Thank you so much, Jessica. And I think with
Mhm.
that, you brought us to kind of the heart of this conversation and what it's all about, which is resiliency. Like grad school is hard, everybody. We're not trying to sugarcoat that by any means in the Grad Rebel Advantage program. And that's why the program exists to help you prepare um, and decide if it's right for you. So for our panelists, I'm going to combine a couple questions here, but I'm hoping that you can share